Good evening, everyone. This is John C. Morley here, serial entrepreneur, and you've been watching IFYL, Inspirations for Your Life. If you're new here, grab your smartphone, go ahead and scan the QR code. But if you don't see the QR code, like if you're seeing us on Instagram or TikTok or other places, then go to believemeachieve.com, or maybe you're listening to the audio podcast a day later. But I really want to express my gratitude to everyone here tonight because we have hit our our goal of 50,000 downloads. We're at 62,700 downloads, and our next promise to ourselves is we want to hit 100,000 by the end of Q1. Just really excited. We had close to 2,500 downloads yesterday, so very, very grateful for all of you guys that are watching, listening, and sharing our content. So if you're new here, we start on Saturday, we roll all the way through the week, and we finish up on a Friday. That's how we work. And we have a really great topic. And this topic for the week is about career, how, why, and when you should actually decide if you should leave your career or if you should stay there. So tonight we have a very interesting topic. But before I get started with that, I want to let you know who I am. So I am John C. Morley, serial entrepreneur. I'm also a podcast host and, yes, a podcast coach and specialist in helping businesses tell a story that leads to them growing and being more scalable and, of course, more profitable. Now, I typically work with companies that bring in 10 million or more. They either have a story they want me to tell the world, or they want me to find out what their story is, the truth. And I love to share that to get people inspired and curious, so they'll ask questions and potentially they'll want to do business with your company. All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you click on that QR code or go to believemeachieve.com, you're going to see that we actually have some great content. You're going to see right there. Yes, we have great content. But what you're actually going to specifically is a brand new menu item called Tools for Podcast Hosts and Guests. So I've added that there. It's a collection of tools that I use to make my podcast successful, as well as my businesses. So definitely check that out. There's some great tools, including StreamYard and so many other things. So definitely check that out. And there's some great discounts there. So check that all out. But let's get right into this show for tonight. All right. So tonight's show is about, well, putting your career plan in action. Series 2 means we're in the second year. We are in, show series 2. We're show 48, episode number 5. So this whole week is dedicated to the how, why, and when of your career. So when we think about to plan your career path, we think about the actions, right? We list the career paths that you could go into. You can look at the different job markets, right? Identify careers that are going to match your skill. Understand your qualifications. We talked about the importance of reading job descriptions yesterday, right? Understanding salaries and other benefits, knowing what's going to be there and what's a smart path that you should take. Specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-based. And of course, remember to write down or keep it on your computer. Keep a detailed record of everything you do. Career assessments. When you select a career, you want to understand your needs, your strengths, and of course, your weaknesses, so that you can make sure maybe you could improve those things. I think that's really important. So when we think about defining your course of action, now that you've decided, you've applied for these jobs and you know which ones you're going to go after, the type of cover letter you're going to write, all this great stuff. And so you've prepared the cover letter so that it has the right buzzwords or hashtags, whatever you want to call it. And then you've crafted that in such a way that's going to make that employer want to reach out to you, because you've written your cover letter to match what their job description is. Now, here's a warning. Don't do this just to get the job. Make sure it's a job that you really, really want. That is so, so key, everyone. I got to tell you that. And so understanding your course of action, is predicated based on the salary level, interactions with the public, contributions, prestige. But most importantly, are you going to feel comfortable in that job? Okay. Can you see yourself doing that job day in and day out? Okay. And if you can, it's probably a good one for you to go after. But understand how they work, understand a little about their culture. Before you apply, make sure you understand the culture of the company. Because if you don't understand the culture and you get on board, you're going to quit. And it's just not going to work out very, very well for you. So I know a lot of you are probably doing career hunting. Maybe you're, looking now or looking after the holidays, but what is your career plan? And so when we think about a plan, we have to start with a couple things. One, we have to explore ourselves and our assessment. Like, what are our skills? Do a little deep dive into our strengths and our weaknesses and be honest with ourselves. It's not about trying to make ourselves seem better than what we are. We want to make sure that we can do these things. Is this company a kind of culture that you want to work with? Or is this industry one you're going to work with? Now, we talked about before, what are you looking for? You're looking for full-time, part-time? Are you looking to be a contractor? What is your, let's say, motive? And so if somebody was to make you an offer, let's say today, would you take that job? Well, I don't know. It's a lot lower than I would take, but would you take it? Probably. Then my question is, how long would you hang on? You probably would quit very quickly. And so the important thing to understand is that the final planning and action. So gather all the information you've learned about and determine the action plan, which is to plan, the background of the company, check things out, maybe read some reviews online from customers, from different employees or contractors. Create detailed lists of short and long-term promises that you'll need to achieve before you reach your first final career promise to yourself. Now, these lists should include all the occupational, educational, and training goals. Well, not goals, it's really the promises, I would tell you. People always call them goals, but I call them promises. And they're required to pursue your chosen career path. You should consider the barriers that might prevent you from reaching this. And what are you going to do to try to circumvent that? There's the job search and the acceptance process, right? And so when you understand that a job is something that is more than just your skills, all right? We're not talking about the interview stage right now. We're talking about just who you're going to apply for, why you're going to apply for them. Know that company like they're going to know you. Because I'll tell you something, when they decide to interview you, which we'll get to later, they're going to know who you are and they're going to dig. And so when they have that pre-interview with you, if you are not confident sounding, if you are not able to speak in their language, now their language is about the words and descriptions they've used. And if, let's say, they're talking about analysis of dissertations, analysis of dissertations. Okay, so we're going to review things. No, you got to understand what analysis terms are. There are certain buzzwords in the industry. Job lingo for data specialists. Okay, so what is a and about 4,000, 4,300 extra for additional pay and stuff like that. So the thing that you want to understand is, what does a data specialist do all day? Well, data specialists process data. Okay, well, you probably got that. They use a computer to transfer data from paper into electronic data systems and check for accuracy. Now, other data specialist tasks include researching and verifying data, generating reports, and providing technical support. So you might want to understand, what are data specialist tools that you should know. And if you don't know what these are, okay, you're going to probably be out of that interview very quickly. Some of the data tools that are used: Microsoft Excel, Python, R. I'm not sure if you guys know what R is. R at a glance is a programming language. It's open source. It's statistical analysis and data mining. It's platform independent. It's slower and less secure and more complex to learn than Python, but some companies want that. There's Jupyter Notebook. There's Apache Spark. There's SAS. There's Microsoft Power BI, Business Analytics Suite. There is Tableau, Tableau, a data visualization tool, and there's Knaim, data integration module. Now, if you're going to these companies and let's say they're talking about this way, you might say, hey, gee, well, I have experience in data analysis. I've been doing it for over 5 years. I have several years experience in Microsoft Excel. I've worked with pivot tables. I've also had several years with Python. I've had a year of R. I've worked with Apache Spark for 3 years. They don't put this if you haven't done it. Now, if you don't have any of this experience, the first thing I would tell you to do is go get some experience. Go take an online training, and you can just put down you've worked with it. You're not lying. You've worked with it. So have a little bit of a familiarity because this is what they're going to look for. They're going to look not so much that you know everything, but that you're able to find the answer. A wise person once told me when I was doing a certification for a national repair company that we do service for. They said, John, we don't expect you to memorize every single question and answer. What we do expect is you know where to get the answers to those specific questions when you have to. So be resourceful. So as someone going for a career, do you know how to get those answers? Yes or no? That's what the name of the game is, ladies and gentlemen. It's not hard, but it's knowing these tools. And if you can't understand what the tools are for your industry, then you're going to be left in the dust. Sorry to say that, but you will be left in the dust. And unfortunately, you're going to wonder if this is the right path for you, because sometimes people get lost in what we call job lingo. Anybody saying, John, what the heck is job lingo? Well, they're terms that a lot of times you need to know depending on the type of job you're going for. There could be things like part-time, full-time, remote jobs, urgently hiring, annual leave, applicant tracking system, ATS, apprenticeship, background check, BIK, benefit in kind, benefits, branding statements, breaks, code of practice, collective agreements, compensation, constructive dismissal, contract of employment, contract employee, cover letter, deductions, disciplinary procedure, dismissal, employment contract, employment gap, employment permit, experience, fixed term contract, follow-up, freelancer, hiring manager, informational interview, internship, job sharing, leave, maternity leave, minimum wage, notice, offer letter, onboarding, open-end contract, outsourcing, overtime, pension, references, soft skills, STAR method. That might be one that you want to learn about. And STAR is an interview response technique. We'll talk about that on another episode later this week. Temp to hire, trade unions, transferable skills, white collar, 0 hours contract. And so you may want to learn what some of these words and these terms are, because a lot of times you're going to get an offer and you may not know what that is. So you're not going to necessarily ask them, but you can go research what these terms mean. And so if you go asking what these things mean, they're going to think you had no experience. And so you want to make sure the questions you ask them are important questions, are questions specific to their industry, not questions that you just want to ask them because, hey, I just want to ask them because I don't know, and you're desperate to get the job. See, employers, HR departments, they know this and they look for these signs. And someone that does not know something will be a big red flag. Now, you might be saying to me, John, all right, I want to change careers. I decide I want to send out these resumes. I'm going to spend time tailoring maybe 3 or 4 of them. And then after I send them off, well, before I do that, I'm going to do some research on the company. I'm going to see what projects they're working on. And maybe you can comment in there, hey, yes, I'm looking to be a data analysis person at a company. I'm particularly interested in biomedical, pharmaceutical, and you could say hospitality. And I know you guys are working on a great project right now with biomedical and transformation from AI to DNA. And it sounds really interesting. I would love to be part of that project. You see, that's the kind of stuff that's going to get an HR person to take you from a pre-interview and say, okay, we're ready to take you to the next interview. Because that pre-interview is to find out, Do you have the kind of stuff that they want to work with? They're not necessarily checking to see if you have the skills. They're looking to see if you have the mental aptitude and a connection to be in the same type of environment. That's what it's all about. Ladies and gentlemen, you know who I am by now? Sure you do. I'm John C. Morley, serial entrepreneur. It's always a privilege. It's always a pleasure and honor to be with you this fantastic, amazing evening. Please do check out that QR code. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, if you didn't know who I am John C. Morley, serial entrepreneur, a podcast host, and a podcast coach, and a specialist in helping businesses tell a story that leads to them growing and being more scale and profitable. And again, like I said, I typically work with companies that make 10 million or more, and I'm very creative and excellent at helping people find their stories or creating a story for them that's about truth. Definitely click on that PayPal link. Make the choice. Buy my team and I a cup of coffee, a bowl of fruit, perishable desserts. Either way, we're going to be grateful. Those pennies and dollars. You know what, ladies and gentlemen? I'm going to see you guys real soon. And remember, this set of IFYL episodes is key because you could use it anytime you want to think about changing a job. All right, everyone. Be well. And you know what? I'm going to catch you guys real soon. That'll be tomorrow. Take care, everyone, and be well.